Well, I think there are four principles at issue here before I answer that direct question. Firstly, that MPs do important work and must be able to get on with their job without unwarranted interference, and the opposition have an important role in holding the government to account. But MPs are not above the law. And a further principle is the police should be operationally independent. And I think that that's what we've got to be very careful. We don't actually substitute our judgment for that of the police. We don't know all the facts. Nor substitute our judgment for a magistrate's issuing a warrant. We've got to be quite careful about that.
But we do know one fact, because the Speaker told us today, we know they carried out the raid without a warrant. My question is that acceptable?
The Speaker said that he's changing the process which currently operates, and what he's saying... He said they had
no warrant.
He said they had no warrant, and
is that
he
acceptable?
said that they were allowed to search by the permission of the Sergeant-at-Arms. I can't tell you whether or not I think that in that position I would have given consent or not, because I don't know the basis on which the request for a search was made.
Ms. Harman, you are a lawyer by background and you're the Leader of the House of Commons. I'm asking you, you know there is no one better qualified to express an informed opinion on this. Is it acceptable for the police to carry out a raid like this without a warrant?
If they have the consent of the person who is entitled to give that consent, then I'm not going to say that the police shouldn't have carried out that search without I know the basis on which, the evidence on which that application for search was made.
Should consent have been given then?
And I'm not going to make a judgment. Sorry?
Should consent have been given then?
Well, I don't know the basis on which it was put. I don't know the information that was given. I do know that I understand that an application was made to magistrates to search his house and that was granted. And I'm not prepared to say whether I think that was correctly granted or not.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking you about the House of Commons, where you know a particular history and particular conventions and particular constitutional significance resides.
And I think, therefore, it will be reassuring to people that the Speaker has said that in future there won't be any search of MPs' premises.
I'm not concerned with the future. I'm asking about this particular case. You speak for members of the House of Commons. Is it acceptable for a raid to be carried out without a warrant?
I don't know the basis on which the application for consent was made. I don't know the basis. So therefore I can't say whether or not, had I been in the position of the Sergeant-at-Arms, I would have sent the police packing, or whether I'd have said, yes, it's justified.
Should she not at least have insisted upon a warrant?
Well, indeed, she could have done. She could have done, but the process is not that she was required to do that. And the police appear to have asked for consent, and she appears to have given it. And within the procedures that currently are in the House, that appears to be, on the face of it, perfectly within the procedures. The procedures have now been changed by the Speaker. But I think that, you know, we've got to be quite careful that we let the police get on with their investigation, and afterwards...
No one's trying to stop the police conducting their investigation.
Yeah, but you're asking me to pass a judgment on whether or not they were justified or whether it was disproportionate for them to search.
Well, actually, what I was really getting at was the circumstances under which the House of Commons authorities allowed the police to come in and search an MP's offices. That's not to do with the police. The police are entitled to conduct their investigation in any way they see fit. Of course they are.
Well, because of the principle of the MPs being able to get on with their job and the opposition being able to hold the government to account without unwarranted interference, it is an improvement to have a situation where a warrant has to be granted by magistrates before there's a search, but actually, arguably, it could be improved still further with requiring a High Court judge to grant that warrant.
I'm sorry, the horse has bolted to the other end of Whitehall by now.
Well, yes, that is the case, that a consent was given. But, I mean, I think that we should be careful not to...
All right, well, let's look at it from another point of view. Is it acceptable for the Speaker in this long, important role to delegate responsibility to the Sergeant-at-Arms, or at least to blame the Sergeant-at-Arms for what happened?
Well, the processes which are in place actually give that responsibility to the Sergeant-at-Arms, and she therefore exercised that responsibility. The basis of information which she had, which caused her to give the consent, I don't know. But actually, it was her responsibility to make that decision, and it was her responsibility to tell the Speaker before the search took place, which appears to have happened.
So you have full confidence in the Speaker and full confidence in the Sergeant-at-Arms?
Well, I'm not saying I've got full confidence in anything or anybody. I'm just telling you what the procedures are.
You haven't got full confidence in the Speaker and the Sergeant-at-Arms?
Well, you know, I think we're in difficult circumstances. What we should do is work together to make sure the fundamental principles of MPs being able to get on with their job without unwarranted interference, with the police being able to get on with their job without unwarranted interference by the House of Commons, and also the principle that MPs are not above the law. All of those principles have got to be kept in play, and as Leader of the House, that's what I intend to do, supporting the Sergeant and the Speaker in doing that.
But you've just said they don't enjoy your full confidence. They should, one or the other of them, or perhaps both, resign, shouldn't they?
Well, you know, it's not for me as Leader of the House to choose the Speaker or the Sergeant-at-Arms. It's my responsibility as Leader of the House to support the Speaker and to work with the Sergeant-at-Arms.
Even though you don't have any confidence in him?
Well, I haven't said that. I haven't said that. I've said as Leader of the House...
I asked you, do you have full confidence in him, and you declined to say yes.
It's not a question. There is no vote of confidence on the Speaker, and I'm Leader of the House.
I'm not asking for a vote of confidence. I'm asking you for your opinion as Leader of the House. Do you have full confidence in the Speaker and the Sergeant-at-Arms?
Well, I'm telling you that as Leader of the House, it's my responsibility to work with the Speaker in the interests of the principles which I've set out to you, one of which is that MPs should be able to get on with their job without unwarranted interference, that MPs are not above the law, and that the police are operationally independent. And whoever's the Speaker and whoever's the Sergeant-at-Arms, that's my responsibility as Leader of the House.
Harriet Harmer, thank you. Well, Dominic Grieve, the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Huhne from the Liberal Democrats, their Home Affairs spokesman, are both here. Dominic Grieve, do you have confidence in the Speaker?
I have confidence in his good intentions, but this is a fiasco.
Right, so you haven't got confidence in him?
No, I'm not about to vote to remove him.
I'm afraid I think that this is clearly, from what the Speaker has said about how we should behave in future and how the Sergeant-at-Arms should behave in future, it's clear that he did not approve of what went on. And therefore you have to say that one doesn't have confidence that this was well handled.
So you don't have confidence in him either?
Well, whether it's the Speaker or whether it's the Sergeant-at-Arms, I don't know, but certainly it is a mess.
Should he resign?
I think that that's not something that certainly I would support, but frankly, I think it is a real problem when we get to a situation where, for understandable reasons, perhaps it's not every day that an MP finds their office searched by the police, but perhaps for understandable reasons, the Sergeant-at-Arms and the staff around the Speaker were not prepared for this event. The result of that seems to have been that they have done something which they now regret.
Do you think he should resign?
No. What we need to do is to put right what has been done wrong, and we also need to look at why this has happened. And in fairness to the Speaker, my view remains that the real culprit in all this is the Home Office and the Cabinet Office, who initiated this mad investigation, failed to supervise it properly, failed to exercise proper scrutiny and control, and have led to this policing fiasco.
Absolutely, but they were not the ones who were in charge of the decision to let this MP's offices be raided. Is it acceptable the Speaker passes the buck to the Sergeant-at-Arms?
Well, do bear in mind that it does look as if the Sergeant-at-Arms was misled by the police. Now, you can argue that she ought to have known what her powers were, but the fact that it is clear that the police didn't tell her that she had a choice to refuse, I'm afraid reflects very badly on the police.
You're saying the police misled the crucial official in all of this?
Oh, I think this is quite clear from the information that's emerged today. I'm pretty sure I've got this right, that they failed to tell the Sergeant-at-Arms that she had an option to refuse, which they should have done.
I mean, that seems to be clear. I mean, it's also rather surprising.
The two of you want to be Home Secretary and you're